What's happening, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Unparalleled Sports Talk with your host, Kwame Fisher Jones. As always, I am him. And I'm joined by my man, beat writer, NFL beat writer for AJ.com, Chris Franklin. What's good, Chris?
Hey, nothing much. Everything's going good, man. Got a little bye week. I feel recharged and refreshed. I'm liking
That's
this. I can
right.
get
The
used to it.
Eagles are on a heel week. Yeah, they need to heal after the fiasco that went on last week. But before we talk about that, there's a big story brewing, a story that I think is huge for many different reasons. Davante Adams and I was about to say Los Angeles. I mean, not the Oakland. I mean the Las Vegas Raiders are headed for divorce. There was a tweet that was liked by Antonio Pierce, and apparently Adams didn't want to be traded, but now wants to be traded. And it's for me, it's a big deal. The reason why I think it's a big deal is very rarely do you see a Hall of Fame player who's still roughly in his prime be available so openly, so candidly. And then you throw into the fact that he's being coveted by a lot of teams, but the team he wants to go to apparently isn't a team that you think would be a great fit. So from your perspective, what do you like? What do you think about this whole Davante Adams thing?
Well, first of all, I think the fact it kind of is a shock and not a shock in a way because it always had that feel like before the season began, you're just waiting for the okay,
Really?
Davante Adams is just going to be a Jet. It just seemed like
Okay.
that because all the smoke that was going around, like and then I was surprised when he really said that he's focused on being a Raider. He wanted to stay there, and for me, I was like, all right, that's a shock. You want to try to build it. I don't know why when you have to go either Gardner Minshew or Aiden O'Connell. I don't know why you want to do that, but yeah, you want to stay there. You want to honor the deal and
Exactly.
go that way.
Exactly.
It's like, what are you doing? Anywho, so you look at this now, and the fact that he can call it like a slip up, he absolutely liked it, what have you. The fact when a coach outwardly does something like that and basically likes saying, "Yeah, I want him out." Yeah, for a play, I don't care how much you try to mend fences or
Yeah.
whatever. No, if you're not wanted somewhere, why stay? So I look at that. The problem is going to be when it comes to a prorated contract for the rest of the season. And you look to me, there's only two teams that really have enough room that they can make this trade and still make a couple moves if they need to in case like salary guys add per practice squad. To me, it's the Jets, but they will only have $2 million left over. But we know how much Aaron Rodgers is like. You better find a way to do this. Either restructure contracts or have you get this guy over here. The other one that's pretty interesting to me is the Lions because you look at
Mm,
the way this NFC is starting to
mm.
shape out. It's getting kind of tough. That you look at the Vikings, all of a sudden now you got to worry about them. You're looking at the way that the West is developing, even the NFC South. I hate to say it, but the NFC South is looking surprisingly strong this year. They
It's
need to
not
get that
surprisingly
the
strong.
edge
We
up.
we thought the South would be good. We thought the South would be good. But go ahead.
I didn't think that what's the name the Falcons. I thought the Falcons would be good. I didn't think some of these guys were like, huh? Anywho, when you look at it, and you're like, they could use one difference maker on that offense. So charge with Aaron, Amon Brown to really, because Dan Campbell wants to run. Why not add
Mhm.
Davante Adams? Because we get that play action going, you got that. And they have, I believe, was it? Is it 16? They actually $28 million under the cap. So they can fit them in and still keep it going. Give them a couple of weeks to get used to that offense. Ben Johnson's a good offensive coordinator. He'll know how to utilize them. All of a sudden, now you look at the road through the NFC, possibly going through Detroit. So I look at that as a spot play. This is all could have been avoided if basically, if it was to me, is this is all Antonio Pierce. I think everybody had it in a
Mm,
good spot where like hold it. But I think this one, as much as I like him as a coach, as a head coach, and the way his attitude, that I think this is all Antonio Pierce for this.
mm. Well, I don't know about locations. I'm hearing the Jets, but it doesn't seem like he wants to go to New York. Because that deal could have been done if he wanted. Like if he honestly wanted to go, that deal could have been done. I don't subscribe to the theory of you don't trade a guy in your division because if you're not on the same if you're not on the same level as teams, then you can make that trade and one team will benefit in the future, one team will benefit in the immediate future, and you kind of hurt the team that's benefiting in the immediate future because you're robbing them of future assets when they're not ready to go. So I don't subscribe with that theory. So I don't think it would be bad if they traded him to the Kansas City Chiefs. But for me, I'm always blown away when you can't make talent work. That makes sense. I'm always blown away when you have a guy in your team and your fold and your organization and your, in your camp or I'm always taken aback when you can't get a talented guy to work. Whether it's Terrell Owens with the Eagles years ago, and he made that offense look different. And you look at other time, whether it's, and I'm really dating myself here, but you got Charles Haley and Deion Sanders in separate organizations. Deion in Atlanta, Charles Haley in San Francisco, and the premise is always money, but it's really not about money. It's about value. You don't value what this guy brings to your organization, brings to your program. You don't value it. And the Raiders are 2-2. I know I forget who they got this week, but they're surprising 2-2. They beat a team they shouldn't have in the Baltimore Ravens, and then they lost to a team that they should have beaten. So, but as an organization, they don't value Davante Adams. Like, he's not, and he's out again this week. He's not an asset to your program. That's what I'm taken back by. You want to trade him to New York, you should have done the deal, but do you I mean, the Raiders got, you said Aiden O'Connell, they got Gardner Minshew, they got Max Crosby. It's not like they got lined up Hall of Famers. They ain't the 96 Bulls out here. Like, they've got holes that need to be filled. Why would they let Josh Jacobs go? Why? Like, why don't you value that talent? I guess it's rhetorical. So that's why the Adams thing slips out to me. You're a bad team, and bad teams always make bad decisions, and they always wind up with bad records. It's like it all go, bad team, decisions, bad record. That's what catches me about Adams. As far as where it goes, Jacksonville would be a spot. I mean, it depends really on what Miami and Tyreek Hill do. Are they going to mail in the season? And if so, Tyreek would be the first to go, especially in the situation with law enforcement that happened. But yeah, I just don't understand that, Chris. How do you let talent go? How do you decide they're not good
Well,
for our
I
team?
look at well, I think one thing is that for say for Josh Jacobs, well, actually, yeah, including Josh Jacobs. When you look at it, you think of defensive head, I think it's all because of defensive minded coach. Like, I don't need this. I just want my defense to be good. Okay. And you think of all things, Josh Jacobs would have been the one he wanted to really protect because the run game keeps your defense off, keep us fresh, and keep his tab. When you look at a wide receiver, a lot of times, even with Davante Adams, I think you have some defensive coaches who are just like, well, okay, yeah, he's good, but I can use this asset on defense to make it stronger to try and slow it down. I think it's a little bit of that whole the linebacker mentality of it. No, we can stop it. We can use whatever we want to. We'll just stop anybody who tries to come at him. I just see one of those things, and you can't do that. Like, or this these agents are watching what's going on with them. Free agents, soon to be free agents, are watching what's going on with them, and you're setting up this path where everybody's gonna go. Well, I want to go there. You're treating Davante Adams of all people like this.
Yeah.
All right, yeah, they'll get the bottom, they'll get the tier two, tier three guys that go there, but the tier one guys are just like, nah, I'll see y'all later, kick rocks.
And you mentioned, I'm spitballing here, but they're the Los Angeles Rams. And I know their cap is all funky and all that stuff, but damn it, Denver gave Russell Wilson $10 million to go, or 20 million, 200, 300, 400 million. Denver gave Russell Wilson $1 skillion to go away. They're paying him to go away. So you can make it work. Dallas found a way to get Dak done. You can make it work. But it's just like, it reminds me of an old phrase I heard from my football coach years ago, freshman football coach, years ago. This guy kept making the same mistake. And when the kid was coming back to the sidelines, the coach just put his hand on his hat, he was in his hips, and he looked at him. He said, "Yo, what? Do you want to win? Do you want to win? Like, what are we doing if you want to win?" And that's what I feel like with the Raiders. Like, I get it, Celtics, but do you want to win? Do you want? When you get rid of that, when that's a quarterback, and then you're an organization that the Shador Sanders rumors are all over the place. I don't think Deion's gonna let him go, but it just doesn't make sense, man. Speaking of something else that doesn't make sense, I'm baffled here. And you cover the Philadelphia Eagles. You're on the ground with the Philadelphia Eagles. And before I get into anything else, recap, is Jalen Hurts broken or is he done? What are we looking at?
I think he's broken. If anything, it's broken, and
You
I
think
attribute
or
that.
hope?
I think I really do. I really think it's not hope because I look at a lot of the ways like you see the glimpses in there of him still doing well. It's those turnovers that are killing him. I look at the way that, and they're setting him up. Like when you don't have your top two wide receivers and you decide to go, okay, we're going to use the same game plan like we have AJ Brown and Devontae Smith there. When you look outside, if I'm walking to the line, I'm looking, I see Jahan Dotson on one side, I see Paris Campbell on another side, and John Ross off to the slot. Yeah, let me go ahead and keep throwing these 7-step drops and go down. No, these guys can't get separation, and they not get Saquon Barkley. That's coaching malpractice. That's an offensive
Yeah.
game plan malpractice. So I look at that, and then he's going to try to play hero ball because he's like, I got to do something to try to make this game. So the turnovers, they're inexcusable. He needs to put two hands on the ball. I don't care if it takes a yard or two away from his carries. Keep two hands in the pocket at all times. Just got to drill at him. Keep it around because guys will swat. The book is words out now that anybody sees
Yeah.
all this stuff like you keep fumbling. Words out. They're going to try to do it even more now. So you need to do that. And I will say this: some of those interceptions are all not on him. There are a
Mm.
couple times you look where it's like the routes were timed off. Guy got bumped off, so it took an extra second step back. So I don't think this is all going to be all. This is not all on Jalen Hurts. Some of the stuff he needs to self correct, and you get to the point where you're looking like, if you can't do this with Kellen Moore, you can't do this at one. You do the head coach to save the quarterback, and so I think you're almost at that point now.
Well, you can say this, but I can say this. The book is out. We know Nick Sirianni is not a good coach. Like, we don't take all day to recognize sunshine. We know at this point Sirianni is not a good coach. Jalen, on the other hand, is baffling. Going back to even the Super Bowl run year, he often would have, or it felt like every game, he would have that one turnover, that one brain fart where you'd be like, you got to overcome this. And that's coaching. That's coaching. But after a while, that small thing adds up and it's like, it's okay to make mistakes because those can be lessons learned. It's the bad habits that you don't want to form. You know what I'm saying? It's like credit. It's okay. It's not okay, but you miss a payment, you work to get it together. When you continuously miss payments, now you got bad credit. And that's what's going on with Jalen Hurts right now. It feels like it's a bad credit situation. I don't know if he can be fixed, but I know coaching is the issue. And it's not Kellen Moore's, it's Nick Sirianni. He doesn't believe in him. The offense doesn't seem like he can motivate the team. And then it feels like he's always trying to motivate them after the fact. You know, I remember the Jameis Winston. We're gonna eat these W's. We're gonna eat these W's.
Oh my
Remember?
goodness.
Yeah, remember that? And we were like,
Oh
"What is you?
goodness.
What?" It feels like Sirianni is the coaching version of that. Like he's gonna go into the locker room and say, "Come on, guys, we're gonna eat these W's. We're gonna eat these guys and eat." And and just want to look at him and say, "Dude, go do somewhere. Go somewhere else." It feels like he's a college coach masquerading as an NFL coach, and it's obvious at this point. His decision making, his desire to be seen all the time has worn thin, but also the fact that the Eagles don't have a mindset going forward. You mentioned it. You're out AJ Brown. You're out Davante Smith. You're in the South in October, and you're a cold weather state. Right now in Philly, it's probably about 60 degrees, roughly.
We're in a warm spot. It was like 70 something day. It's warm
Hey,
today.
even in a
That's
warm
crazy.
spell, 70 degrees, right? It's
Yeah.
90,000 degrees in Tampa right now. The walls are sweating when you wake up in Florida right now. That's not the state to dilly dally in, man. Run the ball. Run the ball. Run the ball. Take the game out of Jalen's hands. Have a 30 to 40 rushing attempt game. And even if it's 2 yards, 3 yards, all you need is one big yard. And to beat the Bucks, you needed to control the clock and you needed to put points on the board. And they didn't do either. And it's frustrating. But the turnovers, I don't believe he can be fixed. I don't, which is disappointing because I'm a Jalen fan. But it's not just the fumbles that are driving me crazy. It's the interceptions. It's the interceptions that in the red zone or the decision making and scoring drives and momentum building plays. You said he's trying to play hero ball. No, I don't think he's trying to play hero ball. I just think he makes bad decisions, and it's gonna get. Hopefully, it gets fixed up, but hope isn't a plan. I think it's gonna get dark. I get the final word to you on it.
I'll say the one thing no matter what. And if you see this in the news the next couple of weeks, I think these next couple of weeks, like say what we were talking about Doug last time, these next 2, 3 weeks, I think, are critical to the future of what this franchise is going to look like.
Really?
Because if you start seeing Jeffrey Lurie starting to show up more and more, because that's what when I remember back when Doug was having his issues in 2020, all of a sudden you saw Jeffrey Lurie more and more at these practices. He comes out to practice here and there. That's what he normally does. But if you start seeing him there almost every day or 2 out of 3 days, and it
Mm.
starts to build as the weeks go on, then you start going on Bill Belichick watch, and you start going on Ben Johnson watch, and you start looking at this. Frankly, I don't feel like I actually want to like my off seasons where don't have to go start trying jet track and everything else. Like, oh, who was there? Oh, what is this? Where's this plane going tonight? But
Yeah.
who would have thought the Browns, the future your franchise goes with the Browns, the Giants, and the Bengals, and how well you do with that, especially with all this talent come back. There's no excuse at this point. It's same with Jalen. I know, I don't. I'll put it this way: I don't foresee them moving on from him at least. If they fire Sirianni, I think they give him one more year with a new person.
Yeah, I agree.
But the way that contract is set up, you can get out, and this team has proven that they are willing to eat dead money, i.e., Carson Wentz. So,
Yeah, I
ugh.
don't think they get rid of Jalen either. I agree. Let me ask you a question though. Do you think they would fire Sirianni during the year? They did it with Kelly. They did it with Doug. Well, no, they didn't do it with Doug. They waited an hour after the Giants game with Doug, but they did it
Yeah,
with. They essentially did it with Andy Reid too, but they let him
with
finish the
Doug, they had him
stretch.
go. Yeah, they did that one too. Yeah, he let him have his farewell tour in a way.
Yeah.
With Doug, they waited because they wanted to see what coordinators he wanted to hire. Once he said Press Taylor, and Jeffrey's like no, and then we're seeing what happens when you have Press Taylor as your offensive coordinator. There what happened. I think and Chip was just he didn't show up to the Christmas party. He was like, yeah, I'm done. I want my team back. Get out. So I think they let him finish the season. I even think if they and I know a lot of people won't like this, but I even think if they happen to finish in a wild card, say the 6 seed or 5 seed, yeah, I kid you not, and they win a game in the playoffs, I don't foresee that. But if they do that, he's back. Because I asked him this very thing because I asked how before the season, what would he why is Nick back? And so his track record and stuff. And then there was also a thing where we had him there, like it's how he has a lot of confidence in him too. So as it goes along, yeah, I know you don't like it, but if they make the playoffs as a 6 seed, they win a game, he's probably back
I
after
don't.
all that.
They've got to do a contract extension with him if they do that, though, right?
He's a lame duck. And they might lame duck him into the thing saying prove a year. You do this
No,
because
I don't
if it
think.
would fit nicely too with everybody else. There's a couple other contracts that go at the end as well too. So you can, in a sense, you'd have. I want to say there's a trigger with AJ. There's a trigger with Smith. Not yeah. There's triggers with both of them that they can kind of get out. Slay, we know he's at the end. I think he's this is his final year just based on everything else I'm seeing there.
Yeah.
There's triggers where you start to see like, all right, they can get out and then have enough room for whoever comes in to get what players they want in there too. So it's this is why these 3 games they better find a way and get out started after this bye week. Because if not, if he gets to invoke something else to go ever
There's
get
no,
this team back, yeah, good luck.
what, what is he? He lost 10 of his last 13 games as head coach.
Yep, yep, he has, yep,
It's
with all
nothing.
that talent
It's
too.
over with. It's over with. It's over with. It's done. The Eagles, and it's disappointing because they had the talent. Next year they're another year older. You don't know if that talent will transfer over, but Sirianni's done. His days are done. Vikings, Steelers, Buccaneers. We mentioned the NFC South. We mentioned the Minnesota Vikings. This is the first time I'm mentioning the Buffalo Bills and the Pittsburgh Steelers. Those four teams, which one has surprised you the most this season?
Oh, the Vikings by far because of the quarterback Sam Darnold. I'm looking at
Mm.
it as like this is supposed to be a rebuild year. This is I'm going to buy time for Kevin O'Connell just so he can hide behind the rookie quarterback waiting. When he got hurt, it was like, oh, so much for
He
that.
was
And
cooked.
then you
He
look
was
at
like, "Oh no, now I got to coach."
he actually had, oh wait, that was my gimme. That was my mulligan. That was my red shirt coaching year, like a late red shirt coaching year for this. And then now he's coach, and you see the way he's using Sam Darnold. And I know we're talking about this one too. The way Sam Darnold's handling the football and maintaining controlling his turnovers is night and day what we saw back with the Jets. And I think that time with the 49ers really helped him out because it seemed like they actually coached him up to not have that happen. He's making better decisions. He's not turning the ball over as much. And then I look at that Brian Flores and I look what he's doing. I'm like, you know what?
Defensively, yeah. On the
Yeah,
defensive side
I'm
of the
like,
ball.
they're playing. the best way they're playing very good complementary football. The offense is feeding off the defense, defense feeding off the offense. To a point now, you're looking at, well, maybe they're the ones that are give the Lions a run now. I think the Lions are better talent. They're winning
You still on
overall.
that Lions bus, huh? You still on that
I'm
Lions
still
bus?
I'm right behind the bus driver and going, "Yep, keep driving." There's the next stop there, but
Drive you right to the poorhouse. For me, it's the Steelers. For me, it's the Steelers. The Vikings have been a huge surprise, but kind of piggybacking off what you said about the Vikings and Sam Darnold, I had no idea Justin Fields would be able to be a game manager or a guy who can just do enough for you to win. Mike Tomlin's done it again. Mike Tomlin's done it again. And Pittsburgh's legit. They're one of the better defensive teams in the league. Yeah, for me, it's the Steelers, man. For me, it's Steelers' biggest surprise. I didn't think the Vikings would be awful. Kind of an anomaly. I didn't think the Vikings would be awful at all. And, I thought the Bills, I didn't like Josh Allen, but I didn't think the Bills would be that bad because I didn't buy the Dolphins, which are in their division. I knew the Patriots would be horrendous, which is in their division. And I didn't buy the Jets, which again is in their division. But yeah, man, the Steelers. The Steelers, like, dude, the Steelers have a chance to be a top three team in the AFC. Who would have said that going in?
who is bad. And now you look at Chicago. Like I know Caleb Williams is struggling as a rookie, but imagine if you kept Justin Fields. You see the way he's playing now. Imagine you kept him there and you built around him like you did with this. I think they would have
I,
been all right.
I wanted Caleb. I'll take Caleb every day. I'll struggle with Caleb rather than thrive with Justin. That's just me. That's just me. It's easy to what do they call it? Coach after the fact. But yeah, I'm going. So you're telling me that you would have went with Justin Fields and traded Caleb?
I would have. I'm not a big. I didn't think he was the best quarterback in the draft. I just didn't think. I
Yeah,
thought
so
if
that you've been
anything, you
consistent.
go
You've been
after
consistent.
Jane Daniels. If you want to put him, okay, but Jane Daniels. But then you would have been why you get well with Daniels. You could have had something similar in Fields like this. Yeah. So it was crazy, but yeah, Steelers. You gotta give credit. Yeah, Tomlin's credit, and then they're doing all this with Russ on the bench, and you think a guy like Russ, you're like, I know he's the oh shucks guy, or I'm Mr. Unlimited. I can't wait for everything there. But meanwhile, I was like, I kind of want to play. I kind of want to play. The
Yeah.
fact you're managing those two, that's a match. That itself, the man you can manage both of them should automatically put you in consideration for coach of the year. That situation was just waiting to be volatile.
He always is coach of the year too. He's always right there. So you talked to Caleb Williams a little bit. You didn't think he was in the best quarterback, but that's quarterback in the draft. You thought it would be Jaden Daniels. I believe I said his name right. Right now, Washington is 3-1. Right now, Washington is leading the NFC East. I'm not making this up. I'm not trying to be facetious. They're 3-1,
All
and
right.
I believe they're going to be 4-1 this week. They're 3-point favorite. They've got the Cleveland Browns coming in. Um, Washington's beating the Bengals. They're beating the Cardinals. They're neither one of those are great teams. They're not even good teams. But quite frankly, neither is Cleveland. So there's a chance that Washington is going to go 4-1. And on the flip side of that, I believe that they're putting an end. This will be I think Stefanski's on his way out.
Yeah.
That's my,
Yeah.
that's my
This
first pick. But
I've heard that. I've heard there's rumblings now that it's basically he has to win. It's a man he must win because the Haslams are not happy, especially with all that money they put with their quarterback that's not performing well. Yeah, there's I've heard that.
that's a coaching. If you're a Mike Vrabel, that's the coaching job you want because you've got complete autonomy. Because if Deshaun struggles your first year, he's out of there. Now you got the donut at quarterback, so that buys you another 2 years to develop him. So but I never liked the Stefanski hire, and I feel like I'm all over the place, but like the Stefanski hire. I was surprised, and it could just because I don't like his daddy either. His dad, for those who don't know, Stefanski's father used to be the general manager of the Philadelphia 76ers. He was a guy that in one offseason signed Elton Brand to a max contract and then went out and drafted a power forward in the very same in the draft, maybe 20 minutes later. So I'm going to repeat that. He signed a guy in free agency for a huge contract in Elton Brand. And then the very same basketball season drafted a power forward, who would then lead the Philadelphia 76ers, go to Golden State, win a championship trophy. Quickly, Chris will push up against it. So that's my first pick. My second pick is going to be Seattle, giving 7 points to the Giants. The Giants are without Malik Neighbors. They're 2 and I'm looking at they're like 2-12 on the road against winning teams in the last two seasons and change. 2-12 against teams with a winning record on the road. They're headed to Seattle. Long flight, hour difference, losing team. I really like the Seahawks to be my lamp for the week. I got them as 7 point favorite. I expect them to cover that. The final one is the Buffalo Bills and then your Houston Texans. Calling them your
Mhm.
Houston Texans because you believe the Houston Texans would be good. I didn't buy it. Buffalo is a point and a half. They're a point and a half dogs. So it's roughly a pick 'em. But the Bills are 4-1 after losses, which means something to me because they got shellacked by the Ravens. The Texans are 3-1, but they've beaten. What we got? We got the Bills. No, they got the Bears, the Jags, and the Colts. I have to think about it very far.
See, I like that. It's funny. I don't know if you see my notes there, but
And
it
no, I
says
can't.
basically, I can't. It says basically a pick 'em. First game I have is Houston versus the Bills, and I'm picking Houston because it's a pick 'em. That's why I'm thinking that one too.
Oh, I'm going with Buffalo. I like
I think
Buffalo.
it's the Stephon Diggs Bowl. I think they're going to feed the heck out of them. They're going to feed the heck out of them. It's one of those things where I think the Houston sees they're sensing, you know what, the season's kind of slip away, and they're middling around the South. Nobody's really taking control of the South, in my opinion. So I'm looking at this as their way to try to step back. Buffalo having to go. I like Houston in that one. Next one, if you want to talk about big covers or big numbers, +7. I'm going with the Cardinals +7
Ooh,
against the 49ers. It's a division game. I look at there's always a
ooh.
tough. I think the Cardinals are doing real. I like the way they're. I can't believe I'm about to put these words out of my mouth. I think Jonathan Gannon is doing a really good job leading this team as a head coach. Never thought I would ever say that.
They're 1-3,
Never
Chris.
thought that.
They're one
Yeah,
and three, Chris.
I think they're playing tough, especially for what they have. All those young players there. I look at the way I see something in this team. I really do. And I look at it, I'm like, you know what? It's a division game. I think this. They're not going to win, but I think they cover. They're not going to win, but I think they cover.
You said you see something in his team. I just want the audience to know, and ladies and gentlemen of the jury, I like to present that he wears glasses. Just want to point that out. Go
I would say I got there on Monday and they said my vision barely changed, so I'm good. Thank you very much.
Exactly. And you
My
see, talking about
carrots is
you running
good.
around with bifocals on, talking about you see something. You like, who's your final pick?
I got love this one. I got the Colts covering against the Jaguars. I think Joe
Yeah.
Flacco. I don't know what it is, and I think the Jaguars are sputtering. Doug probably is coaching his last season with the Jaguars. There's a right before the London trip. Everything's going around. Shad Khan's probably looking like, hey, hey, Bill, I know you're only down the street. You're down 95 a little bit.
They're
Let's stop
supposed to be
by.
good friends too, right?
Yeah, Tony Khan, his son, who owns AEW, him and Bill, they were the ones. I remember hearing this. I think, who was it? It was Albert Breer, I believe. He was the one that said when the Jaguars wanted to hire Doug Marrone, they got Belichick's plus. It's like, yeah, he's a good guy to hire. They hired Doug Marrone, so he's sniffing around. I think in that there because I think it's for him basically. I know you hate the guy, but Trevor Lawrence is better than Mac Jones. That's saying a lot.
I don't hate
That's saying
Trevor
a lot.
Lawrence. I just
That's saying a lot too. But the Colts, Flacco, it's something about Flacco. He's when he goes in, he produces like say for playoffs there. But yeah, but it's something about he comes in and he knows his spot. He just goes bam. He knows where he wants to go with the ball. Bam, bam, bam. So that's tougher. I believe Jonathan Taylor's out. It's tough for him. Yeah, it's tougher. But the best equivalent to a running game is when you use the quick passing
yeah.
game, and Flacco definitely can get that ball out quickly. But I think I don't know if they went. I don't know if they went outright. I think the Jaguars still find a way to win it. But I think it's one of those games where it's 3 or 4. It winds up being a field goal or 4 points, like a 30-26, something like that.
It's funny. I clicked up against it. Just real quick on that. I actually looked at that Colts in Jacksonville game. I looked at that game and I said, you know what? I'm not going to touch the divisional games. I don't touch them. But I was thinking about that Colts game, and you raised a valid point with Flacco and everything. I just don't like divisional games. I just
Yeah.
don't like them. They scare me. So for my recap, I got Buffalo beating Texans outright. I've got the Seahawks covering, beating the Giants, and I've got Washington covering as a favorite and beating the Cleveland Browns. Chris has got some bad ones. Chris has got his picks. Make sure you check them out. No, you got the Colts winning. Did you go with the Giants and Seahawks?
No, I thought about that, but I'm like, to me, I thought that was gonna be too easy. Seahawks will roll on that one. If you want, when I used to bet, I used to have something I knew was gonna be a gimme, almost like the
Yeah, the
first rank. You
layup.
want to know how to get the first rank? Yeah. So to me, the Seahawks, the Giants having to go to Seattle the way Seattle's playing. To me, it's and no neighbors either. Yeah, yeah, that's them with seven. I'll take the seven. I think they win by 10, 13.
Yeah, I
I
think
take
they
this.
win. I think they will too. And like I said, the East to West, that's tough. Well, that's it for this episode of Unparalleled Sports Talk. For Chris Franklin, I'm Kwame Fisher Jones. If you enjoyed the podcast, make sure you share, subscribe, comment, do whatever your podcast platform allows you to do. And until next week, we appreciate your time of year. You be easy.